Hi, I'm Kelly Forshaw with Red Touch Media, and I am joined with Peter Moore. Peter, you've lived in LA for a long time now and worked over here.
Yep.
Tell us, when you first came out here, sort of the main difference that you noticed.
Well, I moved to America from Liverpool and North Wales in 1981, and I came in the 70s. I played football out here. I was a PE teacher back home, but once I had arrived in America, particularly here in California, I just fell in love with the culture, the optimism, the openness, the entrepreneurialism. And I grew up in England during the dark years of strikes, and you won't remember this, but Edward Heath's government going under and the coal miners being in charge, and it was tough times in Britain, completely different than it is today. But I've loved living here. I spent a lot of time back in Britain. My company, Electronic Arts, has about 8,500 employees. We're based in Guildford in the UK, as well as Macclesfield. And so we probably have about 450, 500 people that are EA employees in the UK. So we're very much a global company.
And tell us how sort of you use content to promote what you do. You've got so many staff and so many fans of what you do. How do you use content?
Well, EA is probably one of, if not the biggest content company in the world. We spend in our OPEX about $1.1 billion a year in creating games, creating footage. Our FIFA game is a very popular game. We are somewhere in the region of about 450 social media sites that we fuel 24 hours a day with content, with video, with conversations with our developers, with our producers, and our consumer, the video game consumer, of which there are hundreds of millions. We have to feed them every single day. You can't just say, FIFA's coming out, Need for Speed's coming out, and we'll get back to you in 6 months. When I got into video games back in the early 90s, almost prior to internet and digital marketing, you could do that. Now that gamer expects to be informed every single day. They feel like they're part of the process of development. We use Twitter, we use Facebook, we use Instagram, we even use Pinterest. Certainly more recently I've been using Periscope. We allow Periscope to be used in the studios. So all kinds of social media platforms because we've got a thirsty consumer, and our consumer needs to see content. We're also the worldwide exclusive interactive licensee for Star Wars. So our Star Wars game is coming out just when the movie is. So you can imagine the thirst for Star Wars,
Yeah, very exciting indeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's non-stop.
Absolutely. Well, the movie's going to be spectacular, and the game ourselves that we just showed it here in Los Angeles at E3 about 6 weeks ago was really the hit of the show.
Fantastic.
Lots of Star Wars fans out there.
Yeah, not surprising.
Yeah.
And just tell us quickly, why do you think that the UK and especially over here in LA, there's such a big connection business-wise?
Well, there has been for 40, 50 years. In fact, since World War II, tremendous migration, in particular from the UK to America post-war. You look at companies like Boeing in particular, up in Seattle. So much you've got this kind of first generation, like myself, of immigrant that's come over, looking for a better life in LA and specifically, but California in general, and America, quite frankly. And you had this flood of post-war immigrants that used to go to Canada and Australia. And when I was a kid, they would give you £50 to go to Australia. But then more recently, as I grew up here as an adult in Southern California, tremendous British influence, culture, entertainment, movies, music in particular, sports. And everywhere you go, and I've lived in Northern California now for a long time, but there's this little sense of the essence of Britain that's there. There's a great deal of regard for what we do as a culture and a race, and Americans hold British accents and British sensibilities dear. The more Downton Abbey that gets sent over, the more there would be there. But there has been this sprinkling of British sensibilities, particularly in California, since I've lived here over 3 decades. And I think there's a great deal of respect for the way that British industry in particular has become transatlantic. You see so many British companies that put a footprint in here. And as an American company, doing reverse and making sure that we still keep a major footprint in the UK. Very, very important for us to maintain those bonds, that special relationship politicians talk about.
And speaking about people coming over to the States, obviously there's one special person in Steven Gerrard, and footballers like him.
Something
So the action's going on.
I don't know what happened there. Stevie G, I think it could be a penalty. Don't know. Sorry. Stephen has been obviously a great export. I've watched him since he was a kid, and I have nothing but the highest regard for Stevie G. I mean, here's somebody that put a Liverpool shirt on when he was 9. He's a rarity. If not, I don't think it'll ever happen again. That a player, not just a Liverpool player, any player in the Premier League, would stay that long with a single club. The money's too big, the loyalties are strained, but what you have in Steven Gerrard is a very loyal human being, obviously Liverpool born and bred. The one tragedy is that he never got to win the league with Liverpool, but we'll always remember Istanbul in 2005 and what Stevie G did for us, and it's great that he's now plying his wares here in Los Angeles. Scored a goal tonight. Obviously, almost fan favorite straight away. Everything we know as Liverpoolians about Stevie G, Los Angelinos are learning tonight.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us.
My pleasure, Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.